hope everyone can hear me. We're going to start our live stream in just a minute. I'm just waiting for the page to load. If you can see me, there we go. All right, we're starting. So it took a minute for the page to load. Facebook has changed everything around, and if you guys run a page on Facebook, it's changed over to what's called a business manager. So everything is totally different on here. So please bear with me, and we'll get started in just a second. I want to get the page loaded, get moderated, and there we go. All right, thanks everyone for joining us tonight. It is June 2021, time for our Q&A. It's 28th of June. This month went by super fast, so I apologize for not doing the Q&A sooner. Time got away from me. So got a lot of great subjects that we're going to cover tonight. I've had a bunch of you guys write in questions that you want answers to about romance scamming and other scams. If you have any questions and you want to ask them to me directly, you can type them in the live stream chat, and I'll get to them as soon as possible. I'm going to go for joining us. To cover a few topics, let's start off with YouTube. As you guys know, our YouTube channel, we weren't allowed to post or upload videos for 10 days. I hope you guys can hear me okay. Some of you are saying you can't hear me. I've got the volume up to 100, so hopefully it works out. So we weren't able to post on our YouTube channel for 10 days. YouTube gave us a strike because they said one of our videos that we made about 4 or 5 years ago was considered harassing criminals. And it was a video that taught people how to stay safe online, how to look out for fake profiles. This is the second strike we had gotten from YouTube, so I reached out to the YouTube creators, let them know what was going on. It took them a couple days to get back to me, but they let us know that they made a mistake, that the video didn't violate community standards. They restored our channel back to its original good standing, and then we're working on getting back into monetization. So basically what happened is some hateful people probably complained about our videos, like scammers or just people in general that don't like us, and they went ahead and had our channel, given a strike. But we got it all fixed. We're back to grade A1 standards. We don't have any strikes against us. The pages or channel is totally restored. So we're making videos as quickly as we can to keep up and catch up with the 10 days that we missed making videos. So if you haven't been to our YouTube channel, it's Scamming Scammers, and we do all kinds of educational, real faces, interviews, victim stories, and of course Betty Bardine, Kyle, Adriana, and the whole crew are over there with their adventures. So our YouTube channel again is back and it's working, so don't be afraid to visit us over there too. And we'll be doing a live stream on YouTube coming up on the next few days. I'm just lining up some chats with scammers, and then we're going to go ahead and do that as well. Hi everyone's joining the chat. I'm sorry if you guys are having sound issues. I've got the sound turned up to 100. I can't get it any louder, so I'm not sure what's going on with that. Facebook says the sound is up, so might be just a connection issue. Hopefully it'll fix itself. And if you miss our live stream here, I will upload it to YouTube later tonight, so you guys can review it from the live stream there, and the sound will be a lot louder. So, Linda, hey my friend, hope all is good. Saw on Facebook that someone got a friend request from someone using Dr. Fernando's pictures, and it was not him. I told her to block him, and she texted me back and said she did. It's so crazy. It is. Dr. Pinto, people love his photos. I mean, he is like the most popular doctor that scammers love to use. And as you know, the real Dr. Pinto is not online chatting to women. He doesn't need your money. He doesn't need gift cards. He doesn't need anything from you. So if you see Dr. Pinto, just block, because it won't be the real doctor. And unfortunately, a lot of people fall for his photos. And the reason why is because the real doctor does have an Instagram page, and he has at least 2,000 to 3,000 videos and photos of himself, and so scammers steal them, and that's just the unfortunate part of it. But thanks everyone for joining us. If you guys are just coming in here, if you have any questions, write them in the chat. I will answer. I'm going to answer questions that you guys wrote into me. I hope you all are doing well. It's very, very extremely hot where I live. It was 112 degrees here today in Oregon, so we are just dying here of heat stroke pretty much, but the fires are really bad here as well, so we're kind of on edge about all that. But summer is here. So the first question somebody asked me was, I notice when I meet people online, they are now asking for my photo ID driver's license right away. Either they say, I want a prize, or they need to verify. But some men I have met online told me that they won't chat with me until I show them my ID to verify that I'm not a scammer, because they claim to have been scammed in real life. Why do they want my ID? So it's kind of hard to explain this, but there's a couple reasons why scammers want your ID. A lot of times they'll use an excuse that you've won a prize, as the person said, and they'll ask for your ID so that they can verify you and then send you this fake prize that doesn't exist. Or they'll straight up accuse you of being fake and want your ID before they'll chat with you. Scammers like that are they don't mess around. They're kind of just they just want to know they're talking to a real person. They don't want to screw around with a scam baiter or somebody that's not serious. The downside of this is when they get your ID, if you take a photo of it, they'll use that ID to open up Facebook profiles, Instagram profiles, and dating profiles. And when Facebook or Instagram, etc., ask for your ID, they give them yours. The profile will be verified and it won't get removed. And so you'll have a scammer using your profile, your name, creating these profiles, and they just use your ID to verify. Another thing they also do, I mean, it depends on how much personal information you have open. Sometimes they can open online banks, they can open different accounts online, they can open, things like a Bitcoin account and stuff like that. So never show your ID to somebody online. If they accuse you of being a scammer and that they want to see your ID, otherwise they think you're a scammer, just block the person, because really a real person is not going to ask for your photo ID when you first meet. It just doesn't work that way. Scammers do that. The best thing you can do is block. Linda, people need to know he does not have time to sit and chat. Absolutely. Dr. Pinto is not sitting and chatting to women. So, like I said, if you get that kind of friend request from Dr. Pinto, no matter what name is on there, just block right away. The real doctors in general don't have time to sit online and talk to women online. I mean, it's just, if they want to go out on a date, they'll find a date with somebody in their field or at their hospital, or a network of real life friends, not people they see online. So, thanks everyone for the comments. Sorry if the video or sounds bad. As I said, I'm getting a clear stream here, so if you can't hear it and it's really bad, you can hop over to YouTube later, and I'll have this all live as well, or recorded, and I'll adjust the volume on there as well. Next question we have: can you explain URLs? Once again, am I to assume if someone's URL does not match the profile name that they are instantly a fake or a scammer? No. So this is kind of a misconception that people have. They assume that if the URL is different than the name, that instantly it's a fake profile. And that's not true. Here's what it is. If you're talking to somebody online and their name is John Smith, and their URL is loves to fish, so it's facebook.com/loves to fish, it doesn't mean the person's a fake. It means maybe they like to go fishing. If you're talking to a lady named Betty Smith online and her URL is craft lady, it doesn't mean they're fake. It just means maybe that's what they like to do. When it becomes a question is, for example, if you're talking to somebody named Bob Jones and his URL is Moneyboy Oyuwale, or you're talking to somebody named, Sally Johnson, and her URL is James, whatever, James Big Baller Boy, then you're talking to a scammer who has just changed their profile name, but the URL, of course, always stays the same. So you have to use a little bit of discretion when you're looking at URLs, and think to yourself, okay, why is this man named John Smith, but his URL is Lagos Hustler 999? Then you know it's a scammer. But if you're talking to somebody named John Smith and his URL is love to travel, or love Pittsburgh Steelers or something like that, it's probably a sports fan or a traveler. So you have to kind of use a little bit of common sense when looking at URLs. But again, look at the whole picture. Look at what the person's saying to you, telling you. What are they asking from you? There's a lot of other ways to tell, not just by the URL. Charmaine, I received a notification from Facebook that someone shared two of my profile photos. I'd never had anything to do with him. Facebook was good and blocked him as soon as I reported him, but he started up a new Facebook account and sent me a friend request. When Facebook blocked his first account where he shared my photos, Is it possible that he can still have them after Facebook blocked them? So scammers do this. They will go to random people's profiles and they'll share your photo, and it's a way for them to get your attention. And they do that, and then they share it to their timeline of their fake profile, and it happens quite a bit. The reason for this, besides getting your attention, it's kind of just annoying. It's something that they do. Even though his profile was blocked, it's possible that he saved your photos. That's very possible, and he could use them or save them and post them again. Uh, what I would do is the photos, if you know what photos he has stolen, you can always throw them through like TinEye, Yandex, and Google image search and see if they come up anywhere. But sometimes it can take a little while for those to show up online. So it's possible. And the best thing I can tell you, the unfortunate part of Facebook is profile photos. You can hide them so they're to friends only, so they can't click on them, or you can hide them so they're private, so that the person can't share them. And that's what I do. Like my Facebook personal profile, it has my photo on it, but I have it where it's set to friends only or set to only me, so that if someone tries to click on it and share it, they can't. And so that's the best way to do it, to prevent scammers from sharing your photos or harassing you that way. So just give it a try. Um, Yes, people saying the video keeps stopping. I don't know what else I can do. I'm streaming like a normal audio, normal rate and everything. So I apologize if there's some technical glitches. Hopefully it'll get clearer. Everything on my end's working, so I don't know what else I can do to try and fix it. I apologize. Next question somebody asked was, I met a man online who told me he was going to come and see me after his work contract was over. He sent me an airline ticket, and when I checked the flight online, it's a real flight. Would a scammer buy a ticket just to look real? No. So what this is called a flight itinerary, and anyone can go online and do a flight itinerary. And what it is you can go to any airline, whether it be American Airlines, United, Qantas, doesn't matter. You can go on there, put your name in, pick a real flight, go all the way through to the booking process, and print out what's called a flight itinerary. And it looks like a little flight ticket. And all it is showing you what your flights would look like should you book the flight. I believe that that's their flight, and that's what they do. It's just, he's not on the flight. It's a real flight, but it's just an itinerary. So if someone sends you that and says I'm coming to see you, and even though the flight is real, it doesn't mean they're coming. And especially somebody working on a contract, that sounds very, very suspicious. So I would be very careful with that person. And if you'd like us to check them out, you can drop their profile link in our inbox, and we'll take a look as soon as we can. Um, yeah, maybe the heat is frying up the internet. I'm having a clear connection on my end, so like I said, I do apologize if you guys can't hear me or something's wrong. I will re-upload this to YouTube later. Like I said, we've had record heat here. I mean, we are almost on fire. It is so hot here in the Pacific Northwest, and I've got about 6 fires burning around me at this point. So it could be just a connection issue as well. The next question I had somebody ask is, what advice can you offer me? I'm talking to a man online, and I did send money to him. We were in a romantic relationship for 5 months, and he got very close to me, and he said he wanted to be there for my daughter, who's 10 years old. I'm a single mom, and we talked on the phone for hours and hours late at night, and he video chatted me a few times, but the video was poor, and he claimed to be deployed. Long story short, I found out he was a scammer using a stolen pic of a married soldier. I told him I knew what he was, and I blocked him. I ended the relationship. Now he's calling me from new numbers, texting me, emailing me, and sending me messages through Facebook from various accounts, making threats to kill me. He says he's going to sexually assault me, kill me, and then he would come to my house, steal my daughter, and sell her into slavery and assault her. The scammer has shown me photos of my front door and my house and my yard. I'm terrified and don't know what to do. Please offer me some advice. So this is a little scary because it can be frightening, especially if you're a single mom, you're living alone, you're with your daughter. So a few things you need to keep in mind. For one, the scammer is probably in a place like West Africa, India. He's not in your country. He's not up the street. Most of the scammers, they can't leave their crappy place that they're at. I mean, they're scamming online for gift cards and money from victims. They can't hop on a plane and fly 20 hours on a flight, 8,000 miles to come to your house. Scammers, when they're desperate, they like to threaten people. They like to scare them. I've had scammers threaten me. I've had scammers, give them my work address. They found my personal information. But the reality of it is, these scammers are doing it to scare you. And yes, scammers do have family in the States sometimes, and scammers sometimes have money mules and people that work for them. But in all the years that Anna and myself have been doing this and people that have gotten threatened, nothing has ever happened to any of them. So it's scary, especially having a child at home and being on your own. But don't let the scammer scare you. It's a way to frighten you. The best thing you can do is block the scammer, continue blocking him if he threatens you, block his messages, don't respond to them, don't say leave me alone, don't confront them, just block them and go on with your life. That's the best thing you can do. Even if he sends you photos of your front door. I could send you photos of your front door if I know where you live. Google Earth can do that. There's a lot of real estate and search sites that has photos of your house and you don't even know it. And that's where he's getting the photos from. So don't let that scare you. Just keep blocking and don't be scared. You'll be fine. It's just a scare tactic. They're desperate for money. And some scammers get off on scaring victims. It's just something they like to do for fun. So don't even worry about it. I understand if you guys have to leave. If you can't hear me, I apologize. I don't know what else to do. Everything's working on my end. So as I said, if you'd like to watch this later on, you can on YouTube, and I will crank that volume up super loud on YouTube. Again, I apologize. There's not much I can do on my end, but if you come in and out, it might help as well. So it's Facebook, and they have, as I said, they've changed our format on our business page now, and it is called Facebook Business, where it used to be just the Creator Studio. So everything has changed, and nothing is working like it should, which is typical for Facebook because they're just useless. So that's kind of what's happening as well. He did share to my profile photos, his page, and added comments. The scammer that shared my profile photo definitely got my attention, and I'm worried that he might use my photos. I mean, scammers do. I mean, they can use your photos, and it's not unusual for a scammer to steal people's photos and use them, but it's not all the time. Like scammers usually, typically, especially if they're using male profiles, they'll use soldiers and politicians. With female profiles, they'll use porn stars and people like that. So, it's possible they could use your photos, but I would say it's probably like a 15% chance they would, and 85% chance they won't. They're doing it just to kind of freak you out, and it's a way they get your attention. It's the same as if you're in a bar and a guy buys you a drink from across the room. Scammers are trying to you know get your attention by sharing your photos. It's how they do it, and it's frustrating, but I think you'll be okay. Next question. I love your chats you have with scammers. How is it you find such amateur scammers? Is it true they all work in one big scam house? Have you heard of them working alone? Is there such a thing as a lone wolf scammer? So the chats I have with scammers, I get them out of three different places. I get them from Tagged, High Five, and then I'm on the app called Bottled. And Bottled is the new hotspot for scammers. So those three there, but Tagged and High Five typically have very immature scammers, ones that are like young kids or they're new. That's why I find those ridiculous chats that you see posted on our page. Those are all from Tagged and High Five. I have two separate fake profiles on Tagged and High Five, Betty and Bardine. And we, between the two of them, get probably 80 to 100 messages a day from fake profiles. It's that bad on those sites. But also, Bottled is full of scammers. We have a page friend helping us now with getting scammers from Bottled, and I'm on Bottled as well with a profile. So a lot of them are coming from there, and they're a little bit more mature, and seasoned, but the ones on Tagged and High Five are just some are mature and they're good, but the majority of them are not. So that's where we're getting our chats from. Um, Scammers do work by themselves. There's a popular misconception that all scammers work in groups, and that's not true. I mean, there are some that scam in groups. There's, Yahoo boys that get together and there's 30 of them in one room and they're all on their laptops and their phones. But there is tons of them that are on working by themselves. I mean, I'd say 80% of the scammers I chat to work alone. They don't work in groups, they work alone. So Quora is full of scammers more than Facebook and Instagram. Quora is. That is a huge. I went on there. Well, I'm looking at that scammer we talked about in the inbox, but it is full of scammers. So is Pinterest. Pinterest has become a flood of scammers as well. So it's unfortunate, but it's just they're everywhere. They're on all dating sites. They're on all social media sites. They're like cockroaches. They just kind of go everywhere. So. Linda, I apologize you can't hear me. I'm going to make a shorter Q&A this month just because of everyone saying they're having technical issues. So I'm going to finish up these questions, and then if you guys have questions, you can ask them. But I think it's a glitch with Facebook myself. We've been having glitches all week with Facebook. I was scammed by a Bitcoin investment. I met the man online in a group on Facebook about Bitcoin and stock trading. He showed me photos of an account with my name on it, showing my money that I've made. How do scammers do this if there's no money or no real account? They just make one. I mean, there's plenty of free software out there that you can make fake bank accounts. You can make fake stock investment portfolios and just pop the person's name on there, pop in an amount of money and send it to them, screenshot it and say, here you go, here's all the money. It's easy to do. It's the same way they Photoshop airline tickets and Photoshop IDs. They just use a program online. Most are free. I could make a fake Bitcoin account and show you $1 billion, but it doesn't mean it's real. And that's what they do. They fake everything. Everything's photoshopped. Everything's altered. Nothing is ever legit. So just remember that. So our next batch of questions were sent in from a page friend. He always sends in some interesting questions, so I'm going to try to cover these, and then if you guys have questions or you can't hear me, you can ask in the chat. Otherwise, I'll end the Q&A early just because of the technical issues. So the next question somebody asked me was, what kind of psychological manipulation do scammers use? So scammers, we've talked about this before, scammers will manipulate you by learning who you are. So they will follow people that are in, such as back pain groups, like Gene said. They're in back pain groups. And they're in like cancer awareness groups or cancer survivor groups or groups where you're a caregiver for your sister, brother, husband, whatever, and you're struggling. You're struggling emotionally. And so scammers will hone in on that, and they'll find out what's wrong with you, and they'll say, "Oh, my wife's dying of cancer too." And so they use that manipulation to get at your feelings and what hurts you the most. So for example, and this happens a lot, if you're unhappily married and you meet a man online who's fake and he's telling you things that your husband doesn't tell you. You're beautiful. I love to be with you. Here's some virtual flowers. Things that your mate is not doing for you. They will use that to emotionally manipulate you. They will call you day and night and tell you that you're pretty. They'll tell you that they're thinking of you and doing things that maybe you're missing in your life, and that's how they manipulate you. Especially if you're dealing with, someone's and your family's dying from a disease and you're caring for them, the scammers will come in and say, "Oh, I did that for my wife too. I understand." And it's just how they do it. They manipulate you. They make you feel guilty sometimes if you don't answer them right away. They'll accuse you of cheating. They'll accuse you of not being there for them. All kinds of stuff. They'll say, if you're not answering my messages when I need you to, you're not here for me. You're talking to other men. Why are you not with me? I love you so much. They do everything to try and manipulate you. Another question he asked was, are there certain types of victims scammers look to exploit? If so, what kind of personality would he or she have? I mean, scammers go after anybody and everybody, but there are scammers who are more professional that look for a certain type of person. So, for example, my fake profile online is set up as a divorced wealthy lady with lots of time on her hands and who has a beautiful home and a beautiful car. So scammers, look for that type that have money, that look like they might have money. Scammers do go after a lot of older people who are maybe retired because they have this notion that if you're retired or you've had a business and you're successful and now you're retired, you have your pension, you have all these things. They do that as well. It just depends. And they also look for people that are lonely, people that are disabled, people that are online because they can't have a social life outside of their home right now because of circumstances. They look for vulnerable people. They look for people that feel, sadness and depression. Target, people that are in groups for mental health. We've seen scammers target victims who are in depression groups that are dealing with, mental illness or sadness, and they latch onto you like a leech, and that's what they do. They look for people that are not um, strong in some ways, where they, where like if you guys have dealt with scammers, so you're educated about it and you know not to talk to them. You know what to look for. They look for people that might not know, and so they look for people that are maybe a little bit more ignorant towards romance scams. And so that's what they do, and they do look for certain types of people, and most of the personalities they look for are, kind people. And I've said this before, kind-hearted people. Like a lot of victims in the country music fan community and the southern community get scammed a lot because they're nice people, they're caring people, they support the troops, they're more, patriotic, and they look for those kind of people because they know that they have a good heart and they're trying to help. So they do. Hi Beverly, good to see you. Hope you guys can hear me okay. I see like a bunch of people jumping in and out of the chat. So unfortunately we had a low turnout tonight just because of the technical issues, and I apologize. Next question we had someone ask, what is the purpose when a phone call recording asks the victim, can you hear me now? So we hear that a lot, especially with our voice chats we do. You'll hear a scammer go, can you hear me? Can you hear me now? There's a couple reasons for it. One, most of the time, it's because they really don't know if you can hear them because they're calling from a free voicemail number. They're calling from a satellite Google Voice. Their Wi-Fi is really bad, especially in places in West Africa. So they actually don't know if you can hear them, and that's why they ask that. Sometimes they'll ask that because you have asked them a question and they're trying to come up with an answer. So they'll say, well, can you hear me? And that's stalling. It's buying them time to try and answer your question. That's another reason they do it. A third reason, and it's when dealing with more professional scammers, they want to record your voice saying yes. So they will ask, can you hear me now? And you'll say yes. They record those sound bites sometimes, and then as the scam goes on and the relationship goes on, if they're able to get your credit information, your social security, your ID, they'll use that soundbite to go online and verify accounts and actually use your voice saying yes to verify a credit account or verify something online. So there's a couple reasons why they do it. If they ask, can you hear me now? The best thing you can reply with instead of yes or yeah or uh-huh, just say, I don't know, can you? Or make it a question. Make it something different than what than the yes. Because they do record your voice, and the same goes for when you're on video chat. They do record you on video. They might use it to scam somebody else. So it's always, a risk when you video chat with a scammer because his camera won't work, but at the same time, he'll be recording you. So be careful of that. Two more questions he asked. One of them is there a knight in shining armor theory that scammers exploit? Um, in a way, I mean, a scammer with a fake profile will come to you and be everything you've always wanted. So they'll be that knight in shining armor if that's what you're referring to. You'll have a scammer that, for example, targets a single mom who's struggling and working a low-paying job and struggling with finances. That scammer will swoop in and be everything you ever wanted. Oh, honey, I'll let me send you money. I'll pay for your daughter's, school. I'll pay for your rent. And they use someone like that who's maybe poor as a money mule or someone that's struggling. Another thing that they'll do is if you've been in a bad relationship and you're divorced and your husband was a piece of garbage who abused you, maybe physically or mentally, that scammer will swoop in, get to know you, and tell you every single day how beautiful you are and send you love poems and crap that normal guys usually won't send. And they'll try to be that knight in shining armor, that nice guy, and that's what they do. And then they gain your love, your trust, and then they ask for money. So, I mean, that's something they use to exploit victims, and they do it quite well, unfortunately. Jessica, unfortunately, my mother was involved with a scammer. My brother lost his life to suicide, and the scammer knew this, so he kept telling my mother if she doesn't send the money, he was going to take his own life. That's pathetic. There's we all hate scammers, but there's like um, a certain kind of scammer that we really, really, really hate, and it's people like that. And I'm very sorry for what she went through. That makes me angry. If you if you have that profile or the information on that scammer, why don't you inbox it to me? I might go play with him because I don't. I people like that make me angry. Scammers like that are just they're demons. They're total demons. Hi D, good to see you. Hi everyone's joining the chat. Good to see you guys. I got one more question that a page friend wrote in, and it's a pretty decent one. What are some resources the public can use to further educate themselves? So that's great. Pages like ours, Scamming Scammers Action, our YouTube channel, Scamming Scammers, other anti-scam pages. There's a lot of great anti-scam pages. Scam Haters United, the ladies over there. There's a ton of really great anti-scam pages. Those are great resources to not only educate you in what to look out for, but to recognize photos, to recognize how the scammers talk, what to look out for, the red flags. So any anti-scam page that's run well by good people is worth its weight in gold, because we can't stop scammers, but we can educate ourselves so we no longer send money to them, and that's the best thing to do. Other resources, depending on the person, AARP, if you have a grandparent or parent that, or I mean, I'm getting close to 50. If you have somebody that, of that age group, AARP is a great resource. FTC.gov, IC3.gov, any government resources. The Federal Trade Commission is great. Those are great places to look for, and a way to educate yourself about scammers. And there's a lot of great anti-scam websites online that, if you Google them, they'll teach you as much as you want to know. Same with Anna and myself. We'll teach you whatever you want to know, just so you don't get scammed and you stay safe. The scammer I talked to kept saying he was going to kill himself. I've had scammers say that as well. I've had some really nasty ones that'll tell me they're if I don't give them $10,000 they're gonna do it, and I find their real Facebook page and I just send them their own photos and say, yeah, you're not that poor. So it's an emotional manipulation. It's a way to scare you. It's a way to make you feel guilty. Scammers love to make victims feel guilty. So they'll do that. They'll say, my son is starving to death and you won't give him money. It's your fault that he's hungry. It's just emotional blackmail, and the best thing you can do is just ignore it, just block it. Real people don't do that to you. Real people don't make you feel guilty for not giving someone's kid $50,000 for a sandwich, So Beverly actually grilled a scammer so bad online who was pretending to be a celebrity so bad he broke down and admitted that he's a scammer from Nigeria, but I could still please help. A lot of them do that. Unfortunately, we've had people who have said, to Anna and myself, hey, I knew this guy confessed. I knew he was a scammer. He told me he's from Nigeria or he's from wherever, and he's so upset that he scammed. He'll never do it again. He regrets it. He's never scammed before, and he really loves me, and my love has saved him, and he feels so guilty. And in reality, it's all a lie. We've had scammers confess to us day and night for 7 years, and they confess and they say, but I'm so poor, I have no food, no money. And then they give up their real name and information, and we find them on Facebook and they're driving a $70,000 Range Rover. So don't fall for that. Don't fall for, I really love you, I want to be with you, you won't like me because I'm from wherever. It's all just part of their ploy. And it's very rare, and I've never known a scammer to confess and be legit. They've always lied. They still scam while they're talking to you as themselves. It's just the way it is. I don't accept video or audio calls. Is there anything wrong with that? Because I've been told on Facebook if you think it might be a scammer to ask for a video call. It's up to you. Like, this is tough because we tell people so many times, ask for a video call. Ask them to write your name on paper and hold it up, And we we get used to wanting to force a video call, and a lot of people don't like to do video calls. It's your choice, you know, and I mean, I don't mind doing video calls with people. It doesn't bother me at all. But a lot of people don't want to do it, and that's your personal choice. A person has to respect that as well, and that's where it gets tough because scammers will refuse to video call. But a lot of real people don't want a video call as well. I have a couple of friends on Facebook that I've known for almost a decade. I know they're real. I know they're legit, but they don't like the video call. They don't like to text. I mean, it's just someone's preference. It's not a bad thing. If someone's legit, they should respect your boundaries and say, okay, you don't want to, video call. I can respect that, but let's just keep talking. But again, at the same time, scammers refuse to video call, and then we demand it, and then we get all upset. So it's kind of a double-edged sword. But no, you don't have to video call somebody. Hi, Elizabeth. Good to see you. Glad you're on. Hi, everyone that's joining us. I see videos on YouTube from my state's Better Business Bureau talking about scam. Yeah, the Better Business Bureau is another great one. And there's actually, believe it or not, there's a YouTube channel run by the U.S. Postal Inspectors of America that have like these wonderful 2-minute videos that teach you how to protect yourself from scams. So that's another great resource. But there's tons of great YouTube channels as well that you can check out that just teach you how to stay safe, and a lot of anti-scam pages that are run well. There's a few that are not run well, but there's a lot of great ones as well. There's actually a particular person, I won't mention her page or name or anything, but she actually tells people to go off the internet completely because the scammers will murder you. And it's not true, and if you scare people, it's not going to make things better. So like Anna and myself say, you're safe, you're fine. In all the years we've been doing this, and like I said, we've been doing this for, I think it's going on 8 years now. We've never had a victim get hurt or a scammer show up at their house or anything happen to them. And myself have never had anybody come after us. And I've actually, scammers know my full name. They know where I live. They knew for a while where I worked. So nothing ever happened to me. And so don't live in fear. Don't give scammers that power. And too many people give scammers that power, and you should never do that. So just remember, if they threaten you, if they scare you, the best thing you can do is just block them and move on with your life. It's the best thing to do. They love to get a reaction out of people. If they can't get money, then they like to scare you. So don't let them scare you. It's not worth it. It's definitely not worth your stress, and it's not worth the time to argue with them or anything else. And that comes down to, I had somebody ask me today, I found out the guy I'm talking to is a scammer. I'm going to confront him and tell him what garbage he is. And I said, don't do that, because in reality, you don't know who you're dealing with. There are some scammers, admittedly, that they're young kids. They're like, between 13 and 18 years old, and they just like to scare, and they like to screw around and try to get money, but they're not going to do anything. If you confront them, usually they block you or tell you off. But there are some scammers that are very well seasoned that they do work in groups. They do work with, other scammers. And if you confront those scammers and call them names and yell at them, they will come back and harass you for weeks, months, sometimes years. So the best thing you can do when you find out somebody's fake, just block them. Don't even tell them anything. Don't even tell them just block them and be done with it. That's the best thing you can do. As much as you'd like to confront them and say, hey, I know who you are, it's not safe. It's just block them, and if they come back, continue blocking them. A decade ago, a guy from the UK wanted to scam me by telling me that he was stranded at the airport, failing to declare the large amount of money he was brought with him in cash, which is total BS. It is, but people do fall for it. I've traveled a lot. I've been to a lot of different countries, and I've never had that happen where I was arrested for anything or stopped or detained. And so they use that as an excuse, and it's a popular one. Even a decade later, it's still a popular excuse that scammers use. So, Gene, please tell us how you and Anne and your mom are, if you don't mind. Sure. So Anne's doing good. She had some dental work done recently, so she's been feeling kind of bad, but she's hanging in there. She's doing okay. I'm doing okay. I'm feeling better. I was not well for about 3 weeks, had some medication, vision issues, and everything was a mess, but I'm doing a lot better now, and actually on a total diet change. Just I've dropped almost 45 pounds in the last 2.5 months, so I'm doing well. Mentally, physically, I'm doing really well, and working out every day and taking care of myself. My mom is not well. The cancer she has is terminal. It's spread through a lot of her organs. But she's still with me. She's still kicking. She's tough, man. She's a tough lady. And so the doctors had given her like 6 weeks to live 7 months ago. So she's doing okay. I mean, she's not in pain and she's getting by. So we're just taking one day at a time. But I appreciate you asking. And yeah, we're all doing okay. We're just doing okay. I'm just trying not to burst into flames because it's very hot here. I live in Oregon, and it's been ungodly hot here for the last couple days, and tomorrow's going to be the hottest day of the year. So, someone said that they hacked my phone once and had my location. They were coming to assault you. So, and someone asked me for an airfare ticket to get over to where I was. So scammers like to, and I don't know if it's the culture because a lot of these scammers live in places where there is a lot of violence, there's a lot of assaults, women are not treated as well as they should be in some of these countries, and they like to use assault in that type of nature to scare women, and I don't understand if that's a cultural thing or if it's just to be like the nastiest you could be, but it's scary for people, and it's scary to hear that. It's scary to think about that, and so I think they do that to a lot of women to scare them, and a lot of ladies live alone, or they're single moms or whatever. They live by themselves in a house, and it can be scary. But just remember, the threats are always going to be just fake threats, and it's just I think of when a scammer threatens to assault a female, I think they're just like the worst form of humanity that they can be, and they're just trying to really scare you, and at the end of the day, you just have to keep in mind that they're not going to come after you, they're not going to hurt you no matter what they say. And if you ever get to the point where you're feeling really concerned and scared, come on our page and look at the photos of scammers. That's the kind of people that are threatening you, and so you can kind of take a step back and go, well, yeah, no, he's not going to come after me. But it is scary. It's no one should be threatened like that, and especially they're just desperate. That's all it is. They're just desperate. But they do. And someone asked me today about dating formats. So scammers do use dating formats, and what it is it's a pre-written script that they're taught. So it's always, I'm a widow, my wife died of car crash, cancer, childbirth, I'm an engineer, I'm an oil rig worker, I'm a doctor, I'm a soldier. It's a preset list of things that they use as a dating format. And so a lot of people will say, hey, this scammer says the same thing my scammer said. It must be the same scammer. And that's when we tell people, no, it's just a scammer using the same dating format. And it's like a salesman. A salesman will tell you the same sales pitch. And it's the same way. Scammers tell you the same dating pitch. So they all use the same excuse. Sometimes they just all copy and paste the same thing, and that's kind of how they roll. But again, it's scammers come from all over, but we know a lot of them are from a certain part of the world. They all have the same slang. They all say the same thing. So just block them, and that's all you can do. Sarah, or they say I have video recordings of you. They said I will post these videos of you. So they do, and I'll tell you guys a funny story. And this is kind of not funny, but it is. My fake profile online, Betty, has about 5 or 6 photos of herself on the dating site, and it's a friend of ours. Her mom let us use her photos because she's not online. She's like, sure, these photos are from like the mid-90s. And we posted photos of Betty online. We use it to entice scammers. And I had one scammer that took her photo, photoshopped her head on an older naked woman's body. And the scammer sent it to me and said, if you don't give me $5,000, I'm going to show this to your family and to everyone. And they do this, or they'll say, I have video of you and I'm going to send it to everybody. And so I told the scammer, go ahead, make me look good. And they got really, really nasty with me. And they ended up posting this photo to like 2 or 3 of my other fake profiles that I'm friends with. And it was just hilarious. But What a lot of times they do with the video is they will actually just find a porn video of a woman. They'll crop it and say, "This is you. I'm going to send it to everybody." And it's not even you. Like, it's not even your body. It's not nothing. Your head's not even in it. And they do it to scare people. And unfortunately, what happens is people do pay the money. They get scared and they go, "Oh, I can't do this. I gotta protect myself." Most times they don't send the video, and if they do, the best thing you can do is warn your friends and family, "Hey, I'm being harassed by this scammer. He's saying he's got a video of me. It's not me." Just block them, move on. Because if you pay them, they're just going to ask for more and more money, you know. But that's just kind of how they work. Yeah, some of them are nasty. I mean, some scammers too. We get this notion that scammers are all just after money and gift cards, and it's not true. Some of them just are gross. Some of them really like to harass women, and they have this like mindset that they like to attack women, and they'll harass you. They'll ask you for sex videos. They'll ask you for nude photos, and it's not even about the scam. It's just they just are gross. I mean, I've had scammers try to seduce Betty in voice chat, and I'm just trying to get a voice chat going, and they just keep talking sexual chat, and I just have to cut them off. And that's some of them are just perverts, and you have to remember, a large majority of the scammers are 18 to 25 years old. They're young guys, and it's just kind of their mindset. It's not very good. I mean, yeah. I mean, anything can happen, and there's different scenarios as well. So it just depends. But then at the same time, you get scammers that are stupid. You get ones that, like I've had yesterday, who said his wife died in all these different stupid ways. And so, I mean, scammers are like any criminal. You have really smart ones, you have really sophisticated ones, and then you have ones that can't tie their shoes. So it's across the board. You're going to get all kinds of weird and different people. But you just have to remember that at the end of the day, they're on a computer screen, they're on a phone, they can't harm you, they can't hurt you. You know, their words might scare you, but that's all it'll do. Just don't let them scare you at all. I mean, it can be scary. I mean, I admittedly, doing scam baiting for the last 7, almost 8 years, there's been times I was scared. I've had scammers, like I said, find my personal information, and I was just like, "Oh wow, how did you do that?" And it was like, hmm. But at the end of the day, nothing ever happened to me, and I don't think anything ever will. I just laugh at them. So. Cindy, you love Betty. Betty and Bardine and Kyle and Adriana will be making some new videos on YouTube. And I'll be doing a live stream on YouTube in a few days, doing some phone calls with scammers as well. So, but like I said, at the end of the day, it just comes down to protecting yourself. The only way we're going to stop these scammers is if we block them. We don't give them money. Cindy, some have master's degrees. They do. There's a popular misconception that scammers are uneducated and they're stupid. They're not. I've met scammers that have 4-year master's degrees in engineering and computer science. I've had them that they could build a beautiful website, but they use their skills and their education for criminal activity instead of putting it towards good use. Um, and then you get some like I had yesterday that were in the bathroom. So I mean, it's always different. Or you get those that pretend that they are soldiers. Yeah, a lot of soldier profiles, military profiles are big. Fake military profiles are huge. And someone asked me why. Why do scammers create so many military profiles? One, because a lot of women love the military guys. Admittedly, they're muscular, they're fit, they have a great job, they love their country, they have medical insurance, they have money, they're secure. And so a lot of ladies love military. They love the look. And so scammers take on military stolen photos and pretend to be that military guy. Another reason they do it is because it gives them an opportunity on their fake profile to say, "Oh, I'm deployed to Syria. Can you send the money to my sister in Florida?" And they'll use other victims as money mules to filter the money around. So it's just a way for them to manipulate people, and especially a lot of ladies from other countries. Like, a lot of our victims are from the Philippines, and they love a lot of the ladies from the Philippines, and there's nothing wrong with that. They love American soldiers, and so they fall for these soldier profiles, and they think that they're going to marry these soldiers, and it's just all a scam, and it's unfortunate. But the scammers know this, which is why they use so many military profiles. Betty is not my wife. So on our YouTube channel, we have different videos we do, and one of them is a character that I play named Betty. I do different voices. Betty and Bardine are sisters. They're just characters we play. They're sisters that go looking for love online. And then we have Kyle, which I also play the voice of Kyle, is Betty's son. And then we have Adriana, which is a page friend of ours that's from Romania, and she talks as Kyle's wife, which is Betty's mother-in-law. And so we do these character voices and we waste scammers' time, and then we post them online. So that's who Betty is. Betty is a character we play on online. Can the police do anything if a scammer threatens you? No, they can't. And the reason for it is most of these scammers are in places like Nigeria, Ghana, India, Pakistan, Bangladesh. We have a real sick guy from Bangladesh right now who's harassing a victim. Um, they're in places where corruption is king. You could go to your local police station. Let's say you live in London, and a scammer is harassing you, threatening to kill you, but that scammer is in Nigeria. The police in London are not going to do anything. They'll file a report. They'll tell you stay off the internet, but that's all they can do. They can't go to Nigeria and arrest your scammer. They can't go, talk to the Nigerian police and get them arrested. It just doesn't work that way. So there's very little that can be done. The same goes for if you lose money. There's nothing you can do. Once money is sent, it's gone, and there's no agency or special agent that's going to get your money back. It just doesn't work that way, and it's unfortunate. It really is, and it's frustrating. We've had Nigerian police officers scamming. We've had members of the EFCC that we've caught scamming. I mean, it's just the corruption's so deep that they can't do anything. Cindy, sometimes you're talking to more than one person when you are talking to a scammer. Yes, scammers work in shifts. You could talk to somebody online who asks you about your personal life. Who are you? Favorite color? Favorite food? Are you single? And then an hour or two later, you talk to the same person, but they're asking you questions that you've already answered to them. And maybe they type differently, or they may even sound differently if you call them on the phone. So yeah, they work in shifts. I had a scammer the other day who talked to me and asked me all my personal questions. A couple hours later, he came back, called me on the phone. It was a different voice, different scammer, and he asked me the same questions over again. So they do work in shifts. They do work. They tag team, what we call tag teaming, where you'll have three scammers working on one fake profile, and they go back and forth and talk to victims. So, and it's not unusual for a scammer to have 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 women on the hook at one time, and getting a little bit of money from each one, or getting money from half of them, and then going back and getting money from the rest. So it's very, very common. They do work in shifts. They work just like someone in a grocery store. They have shift workers, and they'll chat all day and all night, and they just rotate just like a shift work. So, but unfortunately, that's kind of how it is. But well, if you guys have any more questions, feel free to ask them. If not, you can always drop it in our inbox, and Ann or myself will answer you as soon as possible. Just keep in mind we're the only two on the page. We're the only two that work the page, so give us a little bit of time. Or if you'd like to email us, you can email us at scammingscammers@gmail.com. I answer emails every third day because we get so many. Um, why do scammers want to know if you have Netflix? They want to log into your account and use it. They love when you have Netflix, Discovery Plus, Hulu. They ask you for your login information, and a lot of times what they do is they'll log in and use it, and they'll change the password and lock you out. And what people don't realize is like Netflix, and same with Discovery Plus. Like I have Discovery Plus on my phone. If you give someone the login details for that and they log into it, your credit card information is on there under the billing cycle. So they can go in to your Netflix and go under account, go under billing, and pull your credit card information or your bank information on there because you pay for it every month. And that's why they ask. They love Netflix. They want to log into it. They want to use your Netflix. They don't want anything that they have to pay for. So if it's free, they get it. So never give out your Netflix, your Discovery Plus, your Hulu passwords. Never give out anything, any kind of passwords to anybody. Because they want everything for free. It's the same with when they offer to send you money and they say, give me your Cash App information, give me your Cash App PIN. They use it. They get in there and they use it. So if you wouldn't give that to somebody on the street, don't give it to somebody you meet online. It's the same thing. So just keep that in mind. Frustrating is sad reality. What's lost is lost, but your coping mechanism will definitely is your choice. That's true. And we've had victims, that were scammed and emotionally were invested in the relationship and they're having a hard time getting over it. You have to mourn it just like any other real life relationship. When things end, you have to deal with it, cope with it, and move on with your life. It's the same way with an online relationship. You do have to cope, mourn, grieve, get over it, and then move forward. But don't hang on to it because you're giving scammers the power if you allow them to make you feel bad long after the relationship is done. And that goes for any relationship. If someone ends it with you and they break up with you, screw them. It's their loss, not yours. So just move on with your life and block them and get on with your life, and that's what you got to do. So same goes for scammers. Block them and move on. You're always better than the scammer. So. All right, I'm going to close this Q&A for June. I apologize for the technical issues. We will be going live on YouTube in the next few days. I'll give you guys a date. So if you want to join us and join Betty, Bardine, Kyle, and Adriana, we will be on YouTube doing some calls to scammers. So if you have any questions or if I missed anything, you can inbox it, and Anna and myself will answer as soon as possible. You guys stay safe. If you're in my part of the world, stay cool because it's been a hot summer so far. And be well. If you need help, you can find us on our inbox here or drop us an email, scammingscammers@gmail.com. You can find us on YouTube under Scamming Scammers. Thanks for joining me tonight for our live Q&A. If you've missed it, we'll upload it to our YouTube channel, and you guys can hear the whole Q&A without any interruption. So be well, stay safe, and we're here if you need us. Take care. We'll see you next month for our July Q&A. Thanks again, guys. Be well.